My name is Suzanne Sellers, and I'm founder and executive director of Families Organizing for Child Welfare Justice.
My name is Tommy Lewis, and I'm currently working on living.
My name is Tina Gowers, and my current occupation is a medical assistant / phlebotomist.
My name is Ronald Haynes. I was born and raised in Chicago and later moved to Tennessee, but currently I'm living in Waukegan, Illinois.
My name is Tony Lawler. I'm the CEO of Lawler Consulting Group, and I'm the Community Resource Liaison. My upbringing was pretty hard. I grew up with little to no childhood, so to speak.
Currently, I am a grandmother fighting for my grandchildren, and grandparents have a little different rights than regular parents. The mom is unable to care for the children. The dad is away in the Army. And so it's up to me that I felt that I needed to fight for my grandchildren.
I had exhausted myself completely. I was handling a cancer diagnosis, and I was dealing with my then 13-year-old daughter. We had reached out to several resources that weren't effective or couldn't quite understand our situation. I was a 32-year-old parent who was fighting to live against a stage 3 breast cancer diagnosis. I had recently had a divorce following the same year that I had to deal with my health, and I had a 13-year-old child.
The circumstances which led to my involvement with the child welfare system was because I have a past history of drug and alcohol abuse. For a number of years, from the time I was a teenager to my late 20s, I abused drugs and alcohol.
At the age of 13, my mom ended up selling drugs to an undercover detective. This landed her in prison. And at that time, my brothers and I were all dispersed into foster care.
I used to go out on drug binges, and I had only my daughter at the time. And when I would go out on those drug binges, I would take my daughter to a relative's or a friend's house so that they could care for her while I was out. I used to tell them that I was going to the store and I would come back in an hour or so. And sometimes I would not come back for 2 or 3 days. And I did that a number of times until a call was made on me to the hotline alleging that I was improperly caring for my daughter.
Child Protective Services came into our lives. My idea was that they would help us in a way that the hospital social services worker hadn't been doing. And it didn't panel out like that.
Well, my grandchildren were taken away out of my home in 2015 by an accident that happened. And I thought that I can go to court and, explain what the situation and what happened and how it happened. But the agency was battling me with different stories that they were making up of their own, which caused this to prolong as long as it has been going on. And I'm still fighting right now to try to bring my grandchildren home.
In 2013, while on a family vacation, my family and I were preparing to leave our hotel room. And as I was getting ready in the shower, I heard that my daughter screamed very loud, and come to find out, her sister said that she fell. Now, this particular incident caused my daughter to suffer a severe brain injury, at which DCFS then accused both myself and my daughter's mom of actually shaking our daughter and attempting to harm her. This led to my daughter being taken away from us and placed into foster care.
Prior to becoming an executive director, I was an attorney for 16 years in Tennessee. 12 years I was concentrating on various fields, but mainly child welfare. In the state of Tennessee, I worked representing the parents, and prior to that, representing the state when terminating parental rights when kids were in custody for too long.
Everything was fine in the home as far as the typical things that they look for: clothing, shelter, and food. Yet what was missing from the home that they failed to follow through was the fact that we were emotionally traumatized from a disease that was dismantling us in every way that we could think of.
It's been very difficult. I've had some nights that I couldn't sleep, cry, wake up. I go to court. I give it my all. I've done everything that the agency have required me to do.
When I was terminating parents' rights, you never like it. I never felt wonderful to do that, but often I felt it was best for the children.
When a child is displaced from their typical well-being, I feel like Child Protective Services could embed some things to get the parent and child back on the course that they had been on.
Fortunately for me, I wasn't an employee of the state, and I say fortunately because it allowed me to pick the cases that I felt were ready for termination. And I set my own boundaries. I wouldn't terminate parental rights until children were in custody for 2.5 years, whereas the state would occasionally move to terminate those rights within 1.5 years. I didn't feel they were ready, and I wanted to give every opportunity for the parents to remedy the issues that brought the children into care.
Initially, when I went into the child welfare system when I was younger, based on the circumstances that I was in as a child, I kind of felt that it was good because it afforded me an opportunity to go to college, getting a full ride scholarship, which otherwise I can't say that I really would have gone to college. And then when I ended up volunteering to work with the over 15,000 youth in care, I had a pleasure and a fulfillment of being able to give back and to help other youth in care. However, when the system accused me, after all of the work that I've done, but when the system accused me without even looking over the facts, I felt betrayed. I felt like as if I was a terrorist to DCFS. That really, really hurt me, and it took me a while to really get over it, and which has led for me to become an advocate to help others and to hopefully advocate and help change that system.
I actually switched sides, so to speak, because I took a job at Legal Aid, and Legal Aid is an organization that represents individuals in poverty. So I was confronted right from the beginning of my employment with Legal Aid with parents that had lost custody of their children, were fighting to get those children back. And so I felt that was an important issue, and I wanted to represent them in that endeavor.
My involvement with Families Organizing for Child Welfare Justice came as a result of me feeling wronged by the system. I was 2.5 years free of drug and alcohol usage at the time that my parental rights were terminated. Between the bureaucracy, between the stigma, between my own poverty, not being able to hire the adequate legal representation I needed, all of that together just made a concoction of hopelessness and helplessness.
There's a lot sometimes that goes into different cases, and I think they need to search more into depth of why a situation happened.
It would be very nice if Child Protective Services could stick by some of the things that they said that they're around for.
I don't want to feel that again. I don't want for any family to have to experience that. So I founded FOCWJ so I could help other families to have the justice they deserve.
The system changes from state to state, that there should be some more uniformity.
In the child welfare system, families come up against a number of different people in a number of different positions. You have your caseworker, you have different social workers, you have psychologists and psychiatrists at psychological evaluations, you have parenting classes, you have drug treatment, you have the court, you have the judge, you have the guardian ad litem, the state's attorney, your own public defender. At any moment, any one of these players, multiple players in every child welfare situation, can go out of the box, can have their own motive, can have their own agenda that is not conducive to you getting your family reunified.
It often depends on the worker themselves, what they think the situation should be, and I think there needs to be some uniform guidelines as to what should be accomplished in certain situations. Of course, every situation is difficult and different.
There are many things about the child welfare system that I think needs to be changed. I also think that there's a correlation between that number in the prison system.
I originally heard of FOCWJ because my wife and I are both friends with Suzanne, and she had talked about her organization. It was something that we both had a heart for families, a heart for kids, and so I wanted to learn more and I wanted to be involved.
Families organizing for child welfare justice is mentoring me in a way that's allowing me to be at ease of the trauma that was brought onto me by dealing with Child Protective Services.
Sometimes parents and grandparents don't know the laws of the systems, and by this agency, FOCWJ, being involved in my life and my grandchildren's life, I feel that Suzanne Sellers, again, can help me because she's had her own experience and she can help me deal with my case.
I first learned about FOCWJ through the Family Defense Center. Diane Redleaf recommended that I talk to Suzanne Sellers about partnering or working with the organization.
I felt that FOCWJ was doing important work, and I wanted to be a part of that. I think there is nothing more important than family.
By the organization helping me and talking to me, they're letting me know my rights as a grandparent and how to fight for my grandchildren.
I ended up meeting Suzanne and the board, and quickly or shortly after that, I became a board member in addition to a mentor for the organization.
FOCWJ has assisted me with coming to court, coming to my meetings. She does mentoring with me every Tuesday. We meet once a month, the third Sunday of each month. So she has helped me a lot. She's from day one, she has been by my side.
Knowing that FOCWJ is in the corner, so to speak, of the parents, it is, for me, a step closer to justice.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll always get their children back or that they'll get them back right away. It could take up to three years, as in my case. Or in some cases, some do not get them back. But to provide the necessarily comfort, the support, and just to feel like somebody understands, that's priceless.
If it were not for the services provided by families organizing for child welfare justice, I would be alone in this mission to combat the injustices.
If it was not for the services provided by FOCWJ, I don't know where I would be right now.
If it were not for the services provided by FOCWJ, the child welfare system is tilted unfairly against parents that are simply trying to regain custody of their children to be put back together again.
If it was not for the services offered by FOCWJ, the child welfare system will continue to spiral down and parents will continue to deal with injustice in this system.
I am blessed to have had my family reunified. When my children became 18 years of age, they each came back to me on their own accord, with no help from the system, just to get to know me and for us to be a family. My hope is that no other family will have to have their parental rights terminated or be separated by unfair and unjust child welfare involvement at all. My hope is that all families will maintain the stability and the unity that is needed in order for our society to be strengthened. When it is safely possible to do so, families should remain together. My hope is that families will remain together as long as it is safely possible. And FOCWJ's work will help to bring that about.